The fiery furnace. So King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 60 cubits high, 6 cubits wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all other provincial officials to come for the dedication of this image that he had set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all other provincial officials, they assembled for the dedication of this image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, "Nations and people of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace." Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, and all kinds of music, all the nations and people of every language fell down and worshiped this image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Now at this time, some astrologers came forward and they denounced the Jews. And they said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, "May the king live forever. Your majesty has issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, and the pipe, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold. And that whoever does not fall down and worship this will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty, neither serve your gods nor worship the images of gold that you have set up. Now when you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipe, and all kinds of music, if you're ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand?" So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they replied to him, "King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God that we serve is able to deliver us, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude toward them changed. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, they were wearing robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, and they were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. Now the king's command was so urgent and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Now King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement, and he asked his advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that were tied up and thrown into the fire?" And they all replied, "Certainly, your majesty," he said. "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like the son of the gods." So Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace, and he shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire, and these satraps, the prefects, the governors, the royal advisors, they all crowded around them. And they saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was the hair on their heads singed, and their robes were not scorched, and there was not even the smell of fire upon them. Then King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants." Now they trusted in him, and they defied the king's command, and they were not willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except for their own. Therefore I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they'll be cut into pieces, and their houses will be turned into piles of rubble. For no other God can save in this way. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. And if you have the same passion that I have about the Bible, make sure to click follow and comment below which story you would like to see me do next. And I will see you guys in the next video.